I think the sooner they go, literally leave the country, the better it will be.
A secret paper was found in a place where it should not be, and it tells a story so scary that the king himself could not believe his eyes when he first read it. This report shows a very mean plan to hurt someone in the British royal family. For a long time, some people in the family were very angry and felt left out. They were jealous of the people who got the most attention. Now, all that anger has turned into a very dangerous plan. The people at the center of this scary story are Queen Camilla and her son, whose name is Tom Parker Bowles. People are saying that these two have been very upset with Prince William for many years. Prince William is the man who will be king one day, and that makes some people very jealous. They felt like they were in the shadows while William was in the light. Tom Parker Bowles is said to have come up with a very bold and mean idea. He wanted to make a car crash happen on purpose, but make it look like a total accident. He wanted to do this so that William would not be able to become king. He spent a lot of time thinking about every small part of this plan. He wanted to make sure everything went perfectly, but then something they did not expect happened. Princess Anne was nearby, and she heard them talking about the whole thing. She did not wait even a second. She went straight to William to tell him he was in danger. This changed everything and made the situation very scary for everyone. King Charles is starting to find out the truth about what his wife's son tried to do. This time, the king might be very tough and not forgive him. People are wondering if Tom did this just because he was angry or if someone else was telling him what to do. When all the secrets come out, we will see if Prince William can keep his family together or if he has to send some people away to keep the throne safe and sound. The big room in Buckingham Palace was filled with beautiful lights that looked like diamonds hanging from the ceiling. These lights were very bright and made the whole room shine during the big party. But the lights also showed who was the most important person in the room. There was soft music playing in the background, and the room smelled like old books and history. Prince William, who is also called the Prince of Wales, stood in the middle of the room. He looked very calm and very strong. Everyone in the room looked at him with big smiles because they liked him so much. William has a very big job because he is the next person in line to be king. He is the person who keeps the royal family steady and strong after many years of hard times and problems. To King Charles, William is not just a son. He is his best friend and the person he trusts the most to help him run the country. This trust did not just happen overnight. It took many years of William working very hard and learning how to be a good leader. He had to learn how to talk to the news and how to visit other countries to make friends for the kingdom. In the spring of the year 2025, he went on many trips and did a great job. King Charles stood right next to his son and felt very happy. Important people from all over the world were there, and they all nodded their heads to show they liked William. King Charles was wearing his fancy military clothes with medals on his chest. Every now and then, he would put his hand on William's shoulder. You could see in the king's eyes that he was very proud of his boy. They talked about how to take care of the trees and the animals in the world. They also talked about how to make the royal family look good to the people who live in the country today. It looked like a perfect picture of a father and a son working together for the future. They were like a team that could never be broken. But even though everything looked happy, there was someone watching from a dark corner of the big hall. Queen Camilla was standing behind some big marble poles, and she was very quiet. She watched William and Charles, and she did not look happy at all. For a long time, ever since she became the queen, Camilla worked very, very hard. She wanted people to like her, and she wanted to have a lot of power. She tried to make people forget about the past and see her as an important leader. But no matter how much she tried, she felt like she could never be as important as William. To her, William was like a giant wall that she could not get over. Every time someone said something nice about William, it felt like a tiny poke to her heart. It reminded her that the public and the people who helped the king would always think William was the real heart of the family. She felt like she was just a helper, while William was the future. This made her feel very bad and very jealous. She could feel that the important helpers in the palace did not really listen to her. They were polite to her because they had to be, but they truly respected William. She felt like she was becoming less important while William was becoming more famous and loved. When the party was almost over, Camilla left the big crowd of people. She got into a car and drove away from the palace gates. Waiting for her was her son, Tom. Tom is from her first marriage, so he is not a prince. He always felt like he was half in and half out of the royal family. He lived in a fancy world, but he did not have a title like William does. Tom was also very angry and upset. His mother was the queen, but he had no power and no chance to ever be king. He felt like a stranger at all the big royal parties. He did not like William at all. Part of it was because William had all the power, but another part was because he hated seeing his mother have to follow all the strict rules that William cared about so much. Inside the room, the air felt very heavy and hard to breathe. Camilla did not try to be nice. She was very, very angry. She walked back and forth across the floor. When she looked at Tom, she did not look like a sweet mother. Her eyes looked like they were on fire with a mean plan. She knew that as long as William was around, she and her son would never be the most important people. She wanted to be the one in charge of everything. This anger had been growing inside her for a long time, maybe since she first moved into the palace. But now it was finally turning into a very bad idea. Camilla looked at Tom, and he had the same angry look in his eyes. Tom did not need her to say anything. He knew his mom was done being patient. They did not want to wait for the king to notice them anymore. Camilla touched a cold window and felt a chill. In her head, a very crazy and mean plan started to grow. She forgot about being a good person or being part of a family. She decided this was now a fight where someone might get hurt. In a very cold voice, she said the words that would start a war against the man who was supposed to be the next king. Her hatred had finally turned into a plan to do something terrible. The room where Camilla sat was very quiet, but it was not a peaceful quiet. It was a scary kind of quiet. She and Tom sat across from each other under a small lamp. They were not drinking tea or talking about the weather. Instead, they had big maps on the table. They had notes about where Prince William was going to be and what time he would be there. Camilla looked very serious and cold. She moved the papers with her fingers, and her red nails made a tapping sound on the wood. It sounded like a clock counting down to something bad. They looked at William's life like it was a game. To them, he was not a person they loved. He was just a target they wanted to get rid of so no one would know they did it. Camilla looked at how the guards protected William to find a weak spot. Tom knew people who were not very nice, and he was in charge of finding someone to help them do the mean deed. They worked together very well because they both felt the same way about William. After looking at the papers for a long time, Tom saw a good spot on the map. William was going to take a trip in 3 days to a place outside the city. It was a long drive on a road that did not have many people or cameras. Camilla smiled a little bit, but it was a scary smile. She knew that if a car crashed there, people would think the car just broke or the driver made a mistake. It would be a perfect way to get rid of William without making people think it was a crime. Tom started calling his secret friends right away. He found a man to drive a truck. This man needed money very badly, so he agreed to do the bad thing. They planned every single little thing. They chose a big truck and figured out exactly how to hit William's car so it would fall off a high cliff. Tom was very busy and excited. He kept looking at his phone and checking all the details. But while they were making their mean plan, they did not know that someone was watching. Princess Anne is very smart and she notices things that other people miss. She was walking down the hall toward Camilla's room. She wanted to talk about a party for a charity. But when she got to the door, she heard whispering. It sounded very secret and wrong, so she stopped. Anne hid in the shadows by the wall. She stayed very still and tried not to breathe loud. Through a small crack in the door, she saw Tom pointing at the map. She heard him say words like crash and no control and perfect time. These words made her feel very cold and scared. She realized that they were planning something much worse than just a family argument. Her hands started to shake as she held onto the wall. She wanted to scream, but she stayed quiet. She thought about William and his happy family, and then she looked at the mean face of Camilla. She saw Camilla take a piece of paper and burn it in a small bowl. The fire made Camilla's eyes look very dark. Anne felt like she was going to be sick. She slowly walked away so no one would hear her. She ran down the hall to get away from that room. When she got outside, the cold wind hit her face, but she was still shaking. She stood by the old stone walls and looked toward the place where William lived. She knew a secret war had started, and she was the only one who could stop the disaster. The hallway was very dark as Princess Anne ran toward William's house. She felt like she was in a bad dream. When she got to William's office, she stopped to catch her breath and wipe the sweat off her forehead. William was sitting at his desk with a lot of papers. He was surprised to see his aunt so late at night, and he saw that she looked very white and scared. Anne did not waste any time. She went right up to him and put her hands on his shoulders. She told him everything she saw and heard. She told him about the truck, the secret driver, and the road where they wanted the crash to happen. Suddenly, the room felt very heavy. William's face changed from being surprised to being very, very serious. At first, he didn't want to believe it. He thought maybe it was a joke or a mistake. But when he looked at Anne's face, he knew she was telling the truth. He remembered how mean Camilla had been lately and how unhappy Tom seemed. All the pieces of the puzzle fit together, and the picture was very scary. William felt a shiver go down his back, but he was not going to let fear stop him. He was going to be a king one day, and he knew he had to be strong. He did not cancel his trip. If he canceled it, Camilla and Tom would just wait and try something else later. Instead, he decided to face them. He and Anne looked at the map together. They looked at the same spot Tom had circled. William used a secret phone to call some of his most trusted guards. These were men who had been with the family for a long time and would never tell a secret. They started making their own plan to catch the bad guys. They were going to make a ghost network. This meant they would have guards hidden all over the road, but no one would know they were there. The plan was very smart. The guards went to the road a whole day early. They dressed up like normal people. Some looked like they lived there, some looked like they were fixing the road, and some looked like people on vacation. They did not use big, shiny cars. They used old, normal cars so the bad guys wouldn't get suspicious. They fixed all the cameras on the road so they could see everything from a secret computer. William watched everything very carefully. He even checked his normal schedule to make sure nothing looked different. He wanted Camilla and Tom to think their plan was still working. He was using himself as a trap. He was going to drive right into the danger to catch them. Anne stayed by his side and watched him become very brave in just a few hours. That night, William did not go to sleep. He stood by the window and looked at the dark palace. He knew Camilla was probably awake too, thinking about her mean plan. He squeezed his hands into fists. He knew he had to protect his life and the honor of the royal family. On the morning of the trip, the palace was very quiet. It was the kind of quiet that happens right before a big storm. William came out of the palace looking very nice in a green suit. He had a calm smile on his face, just like any other day. He acted like he didn't know anything about the mean plan. Camilla was standing on a balcony high up, drinking tea. She watched William's car drive away through the big gates. Not far away, Tom was in a room looking at a screen. He could see where William's car was by using a secret tracker. His finger was shaking a little bit as he watched the little dot move on the map. He thought everything was going perfectly, but he and his mother did not know about the ghosts on the road. They didn't see the old trucks or the men trimming trees. Those were all special guards waiting to save William. William's car drove into the area outside the city. The road went around big rocks and through thick forests. There was nobody else around. The only noise was the wind. Inside the car, William sat up straight. He kept looking in the mirrors, but he tried to look relaxed so no one would know he was worried. He could feel his heart beating fast every time the car turned a corner. But he trusted his guards and he trusted the plan. Soon they got to the most dangerous part of the road. On one side was a giant rock wall, and on the other side was a very deep drop. The bad guy was already there. He was in a big truck hidden behind some trees. The driver was very nervous and was sweating a lot. He was just waiting for the signal to drive out and hit William's car. Just as William's car came around the corner, the truck engine roared. Black smoke came out of the back and it drove fast toward William's car. It looked like the car was going to be hit and pushed off the cliff. But right at that moment, two big black SUVs jumped out from the bushes. They were moving very fast. They slammed into the side of the truck. It made a huge crashing sound that echoed everywhere. Because of the guards' quick thinking, the truck was pushed away just enough. William's driver was also very good at driving. He turned the wheel and slipped right through a tiny gap. William was safe. Right away, lots of guards came out of nowhere. They caught the truck driver before he could even move. They pointed their tools at him and pulled him out of the truck. They put him on the ground and put handcuffs on him. William told his driver to stop. He got out of the car and took a deep breath. He was alive. He wasn't crying or yelling. He just stood there and looked at the man on the ground. Then William took out his phone. He sent a message to Princess Anne. The trap had worked. Now it was time to show everyone what Camilla and Tom had done. The room where they took the driver was inside Windsor Palace. It was a very old room with a single light hanging over a wooden table. It felt very serious in there. The man who tried to hurt William was sitting there, and he looked very scared. His face was pale and he was shaking. King Charles was sitting at the table. He looked very sad but also very angry. His hands were squeezed together so hard that his skin was white. William was there too, looking at the man with very cold eyes. Princess Anne was in the corner with her arms crossed. They all looked at the man, and he felt like he couldn't breathe because he was so nervous. Then the guards started showing all the proof they had found. They played recordings of Tom's voice on the phone. Everyone could hear him talking about how to hurt William. Then they showed papers that proved Camilla had given money to the bad guys from a secret bank account. When the man saw all the proof, he couldn't lie anymore. He told them everything. He said that Tom was the one who told him what to do. He also said that Camilla was the one who started the whole plan. He knew secrets about the royal family that only someone on the inside would know. Every word he said made King Charles feel worse. King was very hurt that his wife and her son would try to kill his own son. But he was also the king, and he knew he had to be strong for the country. He looked at the pictures of the secret meetings. He knew this was a huge insult to the crown. William stayed quiet, but you could tell he was very determined to find the truth. He saw the real faces of the people he thought were family. He was very disappointed, but he was not going to give up. When they were done talking, the guards took the bad man Now it was just Charles, William, and Anne. King Charles stood up very slowly. He looked like he had grown very old in just one night. He walked over to the window and looked out into the dark. He was very, very angry. He looked at William, the son who almost died. In that moment, things changed forever. The king was not just a dad anymore. He was a leader who had to make things right. He told his helpers to get some papers ready. He was going to punish the people who betrayed him. Justice had to happen quickly. The truth was finally out, and nobody could stop what was coming next. The people who tried to hurt the family were going to have to pay a very big price. The next morning, the palace felt very strange. It was very quiet, like a lake that looks still even if there are big waves underneath. The guards walked with heavy boots, and the people who worked there were whispering. Everyone was shocked by the secret that was hidden behind the big doors. King Charles was alone in his room. He was holding onto a table and looking at some papers. These papers were orders to send Camilla and Tom away and take away all their special royal things. He just had to sign his name to make it official. He looked at a picture of his family where Camilla was smiling. It felt like a knife in his heart that she would do something so mean. He felt very old and sad. But then he looked at the report about the crash. He remembered that William almost died. That made his heart turn cold and strong again. He knew he had to protect the next king. In another part of the palace, Tom was sitting in a room with guards watching him. He wasn't acting like a big shot anymore. He looked very scared and just stared at the floor. He knew his life of being around the royal family was over. He was being kicked out of the family and might even have to leave the country. He kept rubbing his hands together because he was so nervous. He realized he had lost everything because he made a very bad choice. Camilla was also stuck in her room. She couldn't talk to anyone and she didn't have any helpers anymore. She was all alone with just 4 walls around her. She stood in front of a mirror and took off her expensive jewelry. Each piece of gold and each diamond she put down made a small clink sound. It was like her power was being taken away bit by bit. She didn't cry. She just felt very empty. She realized she had made a big mistake by thinking she could beat William and Charles. William was walking down a long hallway. He looked at the paintings of all the kings and queens who came before him. He looked out the window and saw tourists taking pictures outside the palace. They had no idea about the scary thing that had just happened. William felt safe now, but he was also a little bit sad. He learned that being a king is a very hard job. It means you have to make hard choices, and sometimes you get hurt by the people you love. Everything was handled very secretly so the public wouldn't find out and get worried. But inside the palace, everything changed. All the people who helped the bad guys were fired. King Charles signed the papers with a very firm hand. Tom was told he had to leave that very night. Camilla was sent to a house far away where she had to stay and not talk to anyone. She wasn't allowed to be in any more royal events. As the sun went down and the sky turned red, William walked through the palace. His footsteps made a loud sound on the floor. It reminded him that being a leader can be a lonely job. He stopped at his father's door and took a deep breath. He knew a new time was starting. He had to be even more careful now. He looked out into the dark night. His eyes were very serious. He knew that the most dangerous people were not always strangers. Sometimes they are the people who smile at you every day. The scary story had ended, but William would never forget what he learned. He was ready to be a strong king, even if it meant being very tough. Now that we have finished the story, what do you think about Prince William? Do you think he changed because he had to protect himself? Or do you think he just became the kind of tough leader a king needs to be? Sometimes life makes you grow up very fast when things get dangerous. We want to know what you think about this. Please tell us in the comments what you would do if you were William. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. If you want to hear more stories like this, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Also, there is another video on your screen right now. Go ahead and click it. We think you will really like that one too. Thank you for watching and for being part of our community. We will see you in the next video. The story of the royal family is always full of surprises, and this one was the biggest of all. It shows that even in a palace with gold and diamonds, people still have the same feelings we do. They get jealous, they get angry, and sometimes they do things they regret. Prince William is now stronger than he was before. He knows who his real friends are. He knows that Princess Anne and King Charles will always have his back, and he knows that he has to be brave to keep his country safe. The road ahead for William will not be easy, but he has shown that he can handle anything that comes his way. He is not just a prince anymore. He is a man who is ready for the crown. As the palace lights dim and the night gets quiet, the royal family begins a new chapter. It is a chapter where they are more careful and more united. They have learned that loyalty is the most important thing of all. And they will work hard to make sure nothing like this ever happens again. The history of the family continues, and the world will be watching to see what happens next. Stay tuned for more updates and more secrets from behind the palace walls. We are always here to bring you the latest news and the most interesting stories about the people who live in the spotlight. See you next time. This whole situation was like something out of a movie, but it was real life for the people in the palace. Imagine finding out that someone you trusted was trying to hurt you. That is what William went through. It is a very big lesson for everyone. We should always be thankful for the people who truly care about us, like Princess Anne cared about William. She saved his life by being brave and speaking up. If she had stayed quiet, the story would have had a very different and sad ending. But because she was a hero, the bad plan failed and the good guys won. That is the kind of ending we like to see. It reminds us that truth and goodness always find a way to come out, even when things look very dark. The royal family will go on, and William will be a great king because he knows the value of being honest and strong. He will remember this lesson for the rest of his life, and we will remember it too. It is a story of courage and family and doing what is right. We hope you enjoyed hearing about it as much as we enjoyed telling it to you. Have a great day and keep looking for the truth in everything you do. The palace doors are closed now, and the secrets are tucked away. But we know that there is always more to the story. Life in the royal family is never boring. There are always new things to learn and new adventures to follow. We will keep an eye on William and the rest of the family to see how they are doing. We hope that they can find peace and happiness after such a scary time. The world needs leaders who are strong and kind, and we think William is exactly that kind of person. He has shown that he can face danger with a calm heart and a clear mind. That is what a true king does. So, as we say goodbye for today, let's remember the story of the car crash that didn't happen and the brave princess who saved the day. It is a story that will be told for many years to come. Goodbye for now, and we will see you very soon with more exciting news and stories.